Yo, what up? This is Eleohah again and again and again and again and again with the motherfucking beat table. What is cracking? What's up? What's up? So, this is chapter 2 of Who is Eleohah. We left off with, actually, I don't think I was specific where I was at when I really started using Fruity Loops. I had recently, I had then moved to Tucson, Arizona, and was starting my little family right there. And I was, on my off time, I was, doing music. Got myself a little computer, started getting heavy into Fruity Loops, started making my own beats, and bam, you know what I'm saying? I just started going in, just started seriously going in. Tucson was definitely like a different type of vibe. Me coming from Los Angeles, going to over there, the vibe was crazy. It was like everything was brand new. You know what I'm saying? Like it was rare if you tapped in with somebody that did music, and when you found out that they did music, they're actually pretty really good at it. You know what I'm saying? Whether they're making beats or rapping or singing or whatever the case is. I immediately moving there, I ran into one of my homies. He goes by Shadow. Then he went by Shadow until recently. He started getting back into music again, and he goes by No Good Malo. I ran into him, but in the time of me, like, starting to do Fruity Loops and all that, starting to take making beats serious. This was like in 2002. This was like 2002. I think it was like 2001, end of 2001, going into 2002. No, I'm lying. It was 2002. It was 2002 where I was over there, and anyways, I met the homie, and he was like, "Yo, like I rap and shit." And I was like, "What? No way." He's like, "Yeah." So I told him, I was like, well, check it out. Like I make beats. He's like, "What?" He's like, "No way." I was like, "Yeah." So I make beats. You rap. Well, shit. We should start doing some shit together. And he introduced me to his little brother, who goes by Buddha One, Big Bad Buddha One. That guy, man, fucking hook king right there. So we pretty much they had a group that was called what was their group called? I'm forgetting a whole lot of shit, you know what I'm saying? But even the next day I'm still forgetting shit. But anyways, we would tap in, and we would be in my I think it was like a townhouse or some shit like that. And we would work on music. I started purchasing more and more stuff. You know what I'm saying? I got myself a little MXL 990 microphone. I got myself a little interface. I think it was the M Pro. Was it called the M Pro? Yeah, I think it was called the M Pro, or it was for Pro Tools. I can't remember what the interface was called, but that's when I was like super starting to get into like producing, like being on the producer side, because there's a lot of debate. Like, is a producer like the beat maker? Like, nah, the producer is the producer, and the beat maker is the beat maker. You know what I'm saying? So not only was I making beats, but I got into the production side of it too, like producing, like, like EQ and vocals, like mixing them down, like trying to get into like mastering and shit. You know what I'm saying? The camera's gonna move a little bit because I don't want to turn off my shit. But I started getting into that because I really loved like recording people. I really love recording people, and hearing their sound, and then matching my my music with their music. So from there, I just started meeting more and more and more and more artists, and I literally became Blackbird Productions. Not only was I Crozak, which evolved into Crozak the Great, but I started Blackbird Productions. And Blackbird Productions was me making the beats on top of recording everybody that I ever touched bases with in Tucson, Arizona, which was like very talented people, man. I've recorded a lot of people and met a lot of people, and actually met my brother, who is a really really close friend of mine, by the name of Andy Rodriguez. He went by Young One back then. You know what I'm saying? Now he's Vodka Gravas and Jordan River Recordings, which is, man, that's so proud of that guy, man. He definitely took it to the next level. He definitely took it to the next level, and so I just started performing, working with a bunch of cats, recording them, making a shitload of beats, and just doing what I do, man. On top of like fucking struggling and fucking trying to figure out what it is to be a dad. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to figure it out. Having having kids. I have my kids in Tucson, Anthony, Alex, and Annabelle, and just trying to figure it out through that whole process. You know what I'm saying? Of the same time, like just being a fucking idiot, just being a dummy. Doing dummy shit, not even taking like this serious, like not taking the music thing serious, or from traveling with artists to from Tucson to LA, having warrants and getting arrested, and you know like stupid shit, you know what I'm saying? And so in the midst of all that, I'm just like trying to figure it out, like fuck, like the whole beat side of it, and like I said on the first chapter, like I'm not sampling. I'm not sampling. Like I didn't agree with the whole sampling thing at that time. I was like, hell no, I want to do my own shit. So I was, I had my little keyboard, my MIDI control keyboard, and I was like fucking, doing my own sounds, my own keys, and melodies and all that shit, laying the bass down and all that shit, and I was like, it was cool. It was all right, but I just knew, like I was just like, man, just something ain't right, dude. Because I don't know anything about musical notes. I don't know anything about keys. I don't know anything about none of that shit. I was just like, man, my shit just doesn't sound right. Like I feel like this isn't me. Like me, like trying to do original, like creating my own melodies and all that shit, it just wasn't me. Like it wasn't me, because all my favorite producers, like, yeah, they tapped in with laying sounds over their samples and shit, and bridging the gaps and shit. But me, I was like, man, like it just, every time I make a beat, everybody was like, man, those shits are dope. But I mean, I guess we are our own worst critics, you know what I'm saying? But I was just like, it just wasn't me. Like it wasn't me. It wasn't. I knew something was missing outside of what the way I was making my beats. I knew something was missing. I knew I was missing something, and that's when I came into the creative space of digging in the crates. Then I was like, I would find like records here and there, but I was still doing the same shit. Like I would go to like whatever platform there was to like download music, like older music. Actually, you know what? I would do a lot of CDs. I would go look for CDs, upload them into my desktop, and I would sample off of the CDs because I couldn't afford a fucking record player. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't afford a record player, so I would get CDs and sample off of those shits. I would go to the thrift store, and I would sample off the CDs from the thrift store, or I would go to whatever program there was at the time to fucking download like old ass music, and that's what we're gonna get into on the next chapter. On chapter 3, we're gonna get into how I fell in love with sampling shit, and that's when my beats took a whole nother fucking level. That's when they took a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? And this is, I'm trying to tell you who Eleohah is. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to tell you who LOA is. You know, So on chapter 3, we're gonna talk about how I got tapped in with fucking falling in love with, you know, chopping samples, and that's when I was still Blackbird Productions. I was still Blackbird Productions. I was still, you know, fucking doing that shit. So we'll be back with chapter 3, baby. This is chapter 2. Who is Eleohah? Over and out. Ra 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 ra.